Okay, so now that this is dry, nice and dry, I'll show you a little hack that I use. I took my tracer and I traced it onto tracing paper. And the reason I did that is so that you don't have to do this. You can kind of feel around and eyeball it. But the reason I do it is because you can see the canvas through here and be able to line up your design so that it looks right and it's nice and centered and whatever. So once I've got that on there, I get my tracing paper, and I purchased white tracing paper. You can get black, but on a black background it makes it very difficult. And you want to have the shiny side down. I don't know if you can tell that on here, but there is a shiny side and there is a matte side. And so I'm going to put this tracing paper right in here. And I'm going to let that down. And, oh, for heaven's sakes, I just let it move. Oh, it's okay. So, you're going to notice that I'm not going to trace the whole entire design because we just kind of need the heads and maybe the wings because the bottom of the dresses are so ethereal, gauzy, light. So you don't want the design pattern to be written on there. You can just do that with your brush strokes, and you can do that freehand, okay? So I'm gonna take my stylus and I'm just gonna trace. I'm gonna press pretty hard, and I'm gonna do the heads, the shoulders, the neckline of the dresses, the arms. I'm gonna come all the way down, good ways. The wings, I'm gonna do that on each one. And this tracing paper can be used 1,000 times. So just keep it, and it's very economical that way. I also am not going to do the halos just now with the tracer because you'll be able to eyeball that. And sometimes things shift around as you paint, and it may be over just a little farther than the design was. And what we're putting on here now, you're gonna obliterate with paint, so that's fine. I'm also gonna put the bow, not the flower so much, but the bow, so I know kind of exactly where it is. Now, before you lift this up, make sure you're holding it tight and just bend it back and make sure that you've got, you know, all your little heads, all your basic stuff, okay? And I see that I do have that, so I'm going to show you. See how easy that worked out? Now you're going to know exactly where to put your paint. So I'm going to put these things away because that's how you keep the Coyote Studio. Put things away as you use them, as you need them. And so we're going to start with the faces. The rest of the painting is going to be done with a number 4, really any round, small round paintbrush. Your instructions say number 2, but I couldn't find my number 2, so we're going to do number 4. So you're going to start with the faces, and I've got all my paint already out. This is way too much red for what we're going to need, but that's what came out, so it's okay. So you're going to just kind of dab your brush in and keep working it so that the paint goes right up into the bristles of the brush. And with each stroke here, you're actually loading the brush with a little bit more paint, okay? All right, and we're going to start with their little heads. Just like that. If you let it, painting can be so relaxing. Sometimes people get very nervous. Don't be nervous. Take a deep breath. Exhale all your worries. I'm not loving this brush, so I'm going to think about another one. It had a little hair sticking out of it, and I was struggling with that. All right, that's better. So we were talking about living your best life and creating that life with your mindset, right? So how do you do that? There's 3 hacks in order to do this successfully. Actually, it goes on and on forever, but your mindset is what you are allowing into your life. You have control over that. There are a lot of things you don't have control over, but what comes into your life a lot of the times can be something that you control. Your consciousness, the brain takes in, let me make sure I've got my number right. Takes in 11 million bits of information per second. That is your temperature, the light, sounds around you, everything. It's just everything, 11 million bits of information. But you can only consciously handle between 40 and 50 bits of information at a time, which honestly sounds like a lot of balls in the air, right? If you're trying to juggle all that stuff, it's a lot. So there are a lot of things that you cannot control. All the things that are coming at you. But there's a lot of things you can control too. I'm just going down here onto the necks. And I'm leaving a little bit of space. See that little black background shining through right there? I'm leaving a little bit of space so that you won't have to go back and outline and put shadows, low lights in later, okay? We're just gonna build that right into our painting. So what are the things that you can control that you're letting into your life, huh? Think about that. What are you watching on television, huh? Is it murder and mayhem? Is it something that feeds your soul? What is it? All right, so we've got heads, we've got necks. Now we're going to take this same flesh color and we're just going to press the brush down and lift up. See that? To make that arm. I'm going to load the brush, press the brush down and lift up. As you lift up, it kind of tapers. Oh, look at that. It kind of tapers off. That's what I'm talking about with the baby wipe. Look at that. Now, the good news is we have a solid black background. So we're going to be able to fix that. Accidents happen, y'all. That's what life is all about. You have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to handle things. All right. So here we go. I'm going to put that brush down and come all the way down. Looks like this little lady's missing an arm, I think. We're going to have to put hers in. All right. And then the little one in the front. So all you've done is put a few little skin colored marks on there and it's already starting to shape up. Isn't that amazing? Just beautiful. So you're going to be more mindful about what you put into your life, right? What kind of television shows and what kind of events you attend. And then we're going to put a little blush in their skin, okay? So you're going to take a tiny bit of the skin color, and I mean like a dot of the red. And you're just going to blend that in until you get a pretty flesh color that has just a little bit of blush to it. Okay? All right. And we're going to put this color on one side of their faces, okay? Quickly. Maybe a little on their arms too. All right. And now we're going to start doing the dresses. And if you notice, this has got, so I've just started here and I just started coming on down. But if you use a bit of a dry brush and you just keep going over it, pretty soon this will become very opaque and this will be sort of see-through. Because so you can see the grain of the canvas in the bottom of their dresses. So we're going to start there. This one has a little hair too. There we go. Can't get that off. There we go. Got it. Okay. Always running into problems. So I just started here with the bodice. Put that little piece of her dress up there. Remember to leave a little bit of the black in between the dress and her arm. Okay. So you're going to paint these bodices on the dresses. So the next hack of how to create your best life is the fact that you should know that you are a culmination of the 5 people you spend the most time with, okay? Think about that. Are they good people? Do they support you? How do you feel when they're around? Are they uplifting? Do you feel completely defeated when you leave? Do you want to let that energy into your life? You can hear the birds in the background. Sometimes it's good to just listen to yourself breathe. It's good energy. We don't have near enough quiet moments in our life. And that's part of what I've been trying to tell you. All right. So now we're just going to go and let that paint trail off. You see that? See how it just kind of trails off? Okay? You got very little paint on your brush. It starts off solid up here, but then it goes into almost nothing. Okay, and you're only going in one direction because you want the paint to trail off only in one direction. You see how I just did that one stroke upwards? See how it kind of changes the look of the whole thing? So only bring your strokes down. And then you can go in and fill in a little bit. One thing about acrylic paint, it will, if you go back over it and over it and over it while it's still damp, it'll pick up. So you can let this dry a little so that the bodices of your dress are a little bit more opaque. But then, okay, how about that? It's coming along, isn't it? All right, the wings are so fun because you're just gonna kind of, no pressure, honest. You just get a big blob. I mean a big blob of paint on your brush, and you're just gonna kind of start dabbing. Don't even be too symmetrical about it. You just kind of want it just natural because these are feathers, right? All right, and that wing goes in front of her dress a little bit right there. Make sure that you do cover the transfer line, okay? It'll just make for a better picture. All right, and then we're gonna do all these wings because we got 4 little garden angels. So we got 8 wings. Again, see how I'm leaving a little bit of the background shining through? And this wing kind of comes down. You just do a little line right that. Okay? So the last thing about creating your own perfect life, your best life, is that you have to choose grace. You have to choose gratitude. Because that is not something that we're born knowing how to do. You have to choose that you're going to be happy. Depending on who you chose to be and what you choose to allow into your life, then you have to accept the consequences. And that's okay too. Because you may have a difficult person in your family that you can't get away from. There may be all kinds of situations like that. So that's all right. You're going to find a way to be grateful because you got this one life. You got this one life. Excuse me. So now we're down to the finishing touches. You can, when we start doing the hairstyles, which I'm just going to get a little bit of black and a little water, and I'm going to make it sort of inky, very, very thin paint, all right? And I'm just going to give them a little short. Now make sure it's not too wet, otherwise it'll run. And I'm just going to kind of give them a little bob on their head, okay? But you can decide to do this to make it look like someone you know, or you know, your friends, and it doesn't have to be a deceased person. It can be somebody you know, somebody you're friends with. Actually, that was the inspiration for this particular piece. I have 3 special friends that I do a lot of stuff with, and they're my little angels, and so I decided that I would honor them by making this with 4 angels, because it's all of us. I'm probably the tallest one, so. But anyway, you can make it look like someone you know, or whatever you want. You can put a little braid. You can make them have short hair, long hair, let them have a bun. I mean, whatever you like. So, now we're going to do some finishing touches here. We got to do the flowers, which is super fun. We're going to get a gold blob. And you notice that I didn't do the tracer with the flowers because it's just too much to try to cover. You want to be able to make your design flow. Okay? And so we're just kind of making some irregular shaped blobs. You can always go in and add some more. I tend to start in the corner and make my little triangle. See how that kind of is a right angle? Okay. And of course she has a bouquet of flowers in her hands. We're assuming that she picked them from around her feet. Okay. Now, the leaves are gray. See how the leaves are gray? Did you notice that we don't have any gray paint? And the reason for that, if this is your first time painting, is if we take black and white, I'm going to take a little bit of both of those, and I'm going to make some gray. My advice is take a tiny bit of the darker color, whatever you're mixing, because the darker color is always going to tint a lot faster. All right. So I'm gonna load my paintbrush again with this gray that we just made. And leaves are so fun. It takes a little practice, but not bad. So you're going to press, and just like the arms, as you come up, drag it a little bit, and you'll get that little shape, okay? That little leaf shape. And just kind of put them wherever it seems to make sense. See how that's coming along? To me, it's easier to put it down and drag it toward me, but obviously you can't always do that, but Michelangelo couldn't do that in Sistine Chapel. He had to just do it from wherever he was. That's why he's a great. All right, maybe we'll put a leaf up here. All right. How are we doing? All right, so we got flowers. I'm gonna load this brush with black, and I'm gonna put in my bow. Now it's true that we did obliterate where the bow is with the dresses, but it's simple. It's just 2 little loops and the streamers. When you start putting in the lights, that's when it's really going to start to come alive, okay? All right. And now you're just going to take the very tip of your paintbrush and put just a tiny bit of white paint, and we're going to put dots. Or if you have that stylus that we use from Tracer, you can do that too. You can just put them in there, but you don't have to have that. You can use the back side of your brush if you want. We'll try that too. See that? We'll just do that. Whatever seems to make the most sense to you. Whatever. To me, sometimes that makes it's a little bit too big. But you can put as many or as few, put it all over this area, put it on top of the flowers, put it in between the flowers. I got some pretty big dots over here with this stylus. I better make it even. Put your heavier dots toward the bottom and give it some weight. Okay. All right. And we're gonna put a few little white dots in your flowers on top. And since it's on top of the white dresses, I'm going to put some black dots in the arrangement up here. Okay. It looks like we've got just about everything except for the highlights, which is what makes the whole thing. Now, if you have white pens, like I have a Posca pen, these are really great. These are paint pens, and it's very easy to go in and put these, but you have to be very careful not to use a Sharpie or a paint pen like this on paint that's wet, because you will ruin your $10 pen, okay? Be very careful about that. Which is why a lot of times I just put the highlights in with my paintbrush. So I've got my paint on there, but I've also worked my paintbrush back into a very pointy shape, all right? And so we're gonna put a little line there for the highlight on the bow, on the knot of the bow, a little bit right here. There we go. Then we're going to come around, put a few little highlights in the wings. You can put some in their hair. Just make sure it's just right on top, because that's where the light's coming from, right? tiny little bit on the side of their face. And you can put some on the neck if you want to as well. There you go. Now for your halos. This takes a little bit of, I wouldn't drink a lot of coffee before you make these halos. So, because they're pretty tiny, pretty thin. Again, you could let this totally dry and use a paint pen. And I wouldn't necessarily make them, you know, completely round, or just kind of a suggestion that they're there. I love the little primitive faces with no features in particular. So cute. All right. If you'd like to put some embellishments, you can put a gold line around the neckline there. I even put a few little streaks of gold in their dresses. I would say not many. Just don't need it. What do you think? Did we forget something? Looks pretty nice to me. So I'd say follow us for more tracers. We're going to be doing a lot more. And always, always, always words of encouragement, because I believe in that. I think everyone needs a little encouragement, and some of us more than others, and some of us more often than others. That's okay. So please go to Facebook and like us. We're also on Instagram, but it's McNeely / what is that thing? _ McNeely _ Garden _ Studios. And hope you live your best life. Thanks.